Hey there friends, Foster the Canadian here, and today we are going to be doing something actually really interesting. I gotta stop touching the mic. This is not actual live gameplay. We're doing gameplay, and it actually was a pretty good game. Going up against a QC guy, and guys, if you've been in the Hunt community a while, you know what that means. But going up against QC still felt like it was a really good game, so we're going to be using that as the gameplay. This is a new series. This is story time with Foster. The reason that I have a controller in my hand even though it's turned off is because I just feel comfortable with it in my hand, and I'm going to need that comfort because today I'm going to tell you guys the most embarrassing story of my entire life. And the worst part is, this wasn't just an embarrassing story like a one-off thing. This followed me for a very long time and actually ties in to hockey in a way that I wish it didn't. But we're going to be jumping in, letting you guys know that this will be a regular series, and I'm going to be doing more stories like this. This is something that I used to do on the other channel, and I want to bring it here. I want to bring it here because a lot of you guys haven't heard these stories before, and I've got a lot of new ones since I started doing YouTube, so we're going to be going through a bunch of those. And the gameplay is inconsequential, but I'm always going to make sure that I got good gameplay for you guys, so it's not going to be boring if you are watching here to see what my team does. So, I'm delaying. The reason that I'm delaying is I really don't want to get into it again, but here it goes. When I was 12, 13 years old, I started to get really into comedy. I loved it. Like stand-up comedy. It was something that made me really happy. It made me excited to get up, watch these comedians. I'd watch Comedy Central, like the Just for Laughs Festival, and they had their little stand-up routines. Watching guys like Mitch Hedberg, which one of the funniest comedians of all time. Watching Russell Peters, like just watching so many fantastic comedians from the early 2000s, mid-2000s. And it got me into comedy for the first time. And it fostered this love, get it, Foster? Fostered this love for comedy that would follow me my entire life. That being said, these comedians also introduced a lot of new words to me. Like, a lot of new words to me. And I was a pretty smart kid, so I'm like, yeah, I can figure out what these words mean through context. And most of the time, I was right. These comedians kept using this one word over and over. And from the way that they used it, I'm like, oh wow, they've introduced me to a fantastic new way to say an interest or a hobby. Like, oh man, this is going to be a great way to let people know that I've got a great vocabulary, and I can be fancy, and let them know what my hobby is, all in one quick and easy word. My friends, that word was fetish. I was 13, I didn't know better, and I'm going into high school, a freshman for the first time. I still so vividly remember this. So we're playing like gym class or whatever. I say playing. We're in gym class or whatever, and it's this group of kids who are all like talking to me, and they're like, "This kid seems pretty interesting. You know, he's helping us win. Our side's winning. That's great." So they start talking to me. They're like, "All right, so what's your name again?" My name's Andy. And they start asking me like, what kinds of things do you like? And I go, well, I've got a pretty big video game fetish. I've got like 40 or 50 video games at this point. It's pretty good. But, and I know it's childish, I still have a Pokemon fetish. If you guys played the latest Pokemon games, oh boy, they're great. And they're looking at me like I'm an insane person. Like, what the hell is he just saying? They knew what the word meant. I thought I knew what the word meant. I was very wrong. And it didn't stop there because no one told me what the hell the word meant. It was like a joke on me for 6 years. I didn't know what the word meant till I was 19. When I was hit by a car. When I was 15 years old. The police come and they are so kind to me. And they sent me down and, you know, they're like classic Vancouver City cops, and they're like, so why don't you tell us about what happened that day, son? Just walk us through it. You know, if it's painful to remember, just take it slow. I'm like, yeah, you know, I was crossing the street, car turned. I guess they thought that I was not gonna cross or something, but they kept going, and they hit me. And, it's really emotional, and they're like, oh, well, you know what, you're a strong individual, you're a brave individual, and it's, you can really see it, like, how many other 15-year-olds can grow a beard, and I'm, like, super proud of my beard growing skills. At 15, I'm like, yeah, how many other 15-year-olds can grow a beard? That's pretty good. And they're like, so why are you growing out instead of shaving it? Trying to get my mind off of the incident. And I go, well, it's hockey season, so I've got to grow it out. Hockey season, I'm really excited. I want to look like the hockey players. Plus, I've got a pretty big beard fetish, so it always helps with that. They stopped talking to me at that moment. That's when they're like, all right, we're going to go get some more information from your mom. So, it followed me. It continued to follow me, and for some reason, I'm not sure if people were like, this kid is a maniac, or if they were like, trying to figure out if I was being serious or joking, because, like I said, I did it through comedy. Comedy is what brought me to that word. I loved comedy. I was a class clown, so everyone was like trying to figure out maybe if I'm telling the truth that I've got all these weird fetishes, or if it's just like another bit that I'm doing. So, I'm in high school. I'm going to all these different classes. I have one teacher that likes me. I was not... I'm not going to say that I was bad for teachers, but for the most part, teachers didn't like me. I was disruptive, that kind of stuff. But there was one teacher, and it was social studies teacher. Sat down with me. It really, by the way, my Golden Boy Nieto scoring that goal, you got to love that. Sat down with me, really, one-on-one. He's like, all right, so, Eddie, you're a good student. You're disruptive. Your grades are fine, but every teacher has negative things to say about you. I think that it's because you're not getting as interested and as invested as you should be in school. So let's figure out, what are some of the things that you love most? What are some of the subjects that you love most? I'm like, well, I do really like social studies. That's why I like your class. But honestly, it would be really cool if I could do something in regards to, astronomy. He's like, astronomy, yes, all right, well, we'll see what we can do for you there. We can figure it out. We have a lot of, electives and extra courses and even clubs that you can join that maybe will get your mind off of something that you're distracted by, or maybe refocus your attention to a place that would really help you. I'm like, that's great. I've got such a space fetish. That's so exciting. He didn't follow through and send me any of the electives or courses or clubs. None of that. And from that moment on, not nearly as interested or invested in my growth as a student. So I kept screwing myself these different ways over and over just because I didn't know what the word meant. Now, thankfully, I wasn't too, I don't want to say I wasn't too popular, but I was sort of withdrawn. I moved around a lot as a kid, so when I finally got to high school, I had one high school, my entire school life, I guess. I didn't really have any friends at that point. I just sort of wanted to stay to myself and not interact. So I limited the amount of times that I misused that word. However, it still ended up ruining, not ruining, but it still ended up causing quite a situation. I went to Burnaby North High School. Burnaby North. 2009, 2010, one of those years. Must have been a senior in high school. There was this, either a freshman or a sophomore. But this group of kids with hockey gear sitting right outside by the big Viking head. And I'm like, oh, hey, I played hockey. I'm a big hockey fan. I'm going to go say hi. So I go say hi. I'm like, hey, you guys hockey players? They're like, yeah, we play. I'm like, that's really cool. So you guys going to get to the NHL one day? Haha. And they're like, yeah, that's the hope. That's what every kid hopes for. So I make a couple jokes like that. I go, well, I got a big hockey fetish, so I'll remember if I see any of you guys on the ice. Flash forward to, what was it, the 2011 draft? First overall, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the very kid that I told I had a hockey fetish, got drafted first overall by the Edmonton Oilers. I told Ryan Nugent-Hopkins I had a hockey fetish! He's playing with McDavid! I can't... If he remembers... I hope he doesn't remember. But if he remembers, I am forever the creepy senior at his school that told him I'll be looking for him on the ice because I have a hockey fetish. And then there is this woman. This is one that I always remember the most for some reason, because it was right like a month, maybe 2 months before I figured out what it meant. This woman's walking her cat on a leash. And I remember thinking, like, that's a really bizarre scenario to see. A woman walking her cat on a leash. This cat walks up to me, give the cat a little pat on the head, and she's like, "Oh, are you a cat person?" I go, "Well, you know, cats are okay. I like cats just fine. Got more of a dog fetish myself." She looked at me with so much horror and disgust in her eyes. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I guess she really hates dogs. Like, she must be really anti-dog. She's just, like, one of those cat people who are like, cats are better in every single way. I hate dogs. I didn't realize at the time, like, in my mind, she's the weirdo because she's walking a cat on a leash, which is a weird thing to do. But in retrospect, I'm the weirdo who walks up to a woman walking a cat and tells her that I've got a dog fetish. I was 100% the weirdo in that situation, but I still, in, like, context-wise, me not knowing what that word meant, thinking it was innocent, she's still the weirdo. And I think you guys can agree with me on that. At least I really hope you guys can agree with me on that. Now, I did use this word multiple times. I don't even want to say multiple times. It was probably dozens, if not hundreds of times incorrectly. Until I finally, by the way, that was close to being a buzzer beater. I finally had one person tell me what the word meant. I remember to this day playing NHL 09. And I was talking to my buddy, and I'm like, "Come on, just get off of Halo. Come play NHL with me." He's like, "What is your fascination with hockey? Why do you like it so much?" And I go, I don't know. I'm Canadian. I just have a hockey fetish. It's my thing. It's what all Canadians, we all have hockey fetish. He's like, that's what we do. We eat, sleep, and breathe hockey. He gets, like, pissed off, and he goes, "You don't have a hockey fetish." I go, "Yes, I do. I mean, I used to play. I watch it all the time. I own every EA NHL game. I've got a hockey fetish. I don't know how you can say for the life of you that I don't." He goes, "Well, you don't think of it, like, sexually, right?" I'm like, "No, of course not. Why on earth would you even suggest that?" He goes, "Because you just told me you had a hockey fetish." Then, in my mind, like, what he's saying is so contradictory. But now, thinking back, man, so he starts saying, like, "No, dude, fetish means, like, you like it in a sexual way." We screw with each other all the time. Not that way. We screw with each other all the time. We constantly, like, make up nonsense. So I'm like, he's just messing with me. This is what he does. This is his thing. That's how he gets at me. He just tells me a lie. So I'm like, "Dude, you're being an idiot. That's not what it means. I know it's not what it means. Don't try to trick me here." He goes, "You look it up right now. I will wait. I will sit here while you look it up." I still remember grabbing my laptop. Dictionary.com. D-I-C-T-I. I don't even need to spell it. But in my mind, it was slow-mo. Every letter that I typed was going in slow-mo because I was doubting myself. And rightfully so, because when I hit enter in that little search bar for fetish, the first definition that pops up is, I don't even remember how they worded it, but it was an arousing so-and-so that you find to be sexually pleasing. And I'm sitting there horrified. I'm like, am I on Urban Dictionary? This can't be right. Something's wrong here. And 6 years of horrible misuses of that word start flooding into my mind as I've realized that I have told friends, family, my mother, teachers, cops, strangers, cashiers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, that I've had these strange fetishes. I didn't know what I was saying at the time. And I'm like, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. I can't handle this. He's busting up so hard on the mic. I go and I'm talking to my mom like, why didn't you tell me? And she goes, well, because it's your thing. You like making jokes. We've all figured that you're just making like some weird, creepy jokes here. No one told me! It took me till the NHL 09 talking to my buddy on Xbox Live to finally find out what the word meant. And yeah, I'm going to throw in a second embarrassing story because I feel like maybe one isn't enough. Plus, we've still got time to go in this game, so might as well. It's a twofer. We got a twofer here. It showed up in my second most embarrassing story of my life when I went to get a job for the first time. You guys may remember Roger's Video. By the way, tying it up. Heater. Clutch. Roger's Video used to be a really great, like, blockbuster alternative. This is obviously before Netflix, before YouTube, before streaming. And I'm like, this is a perfect place for me to get a job. They've got video games, they got movies, they got nerdy things. It's going to be perfect. I go in for the interview. And the dude who's interviewing me looks like Seth Rogen. And, like, he's making these really great jokes about like sci-fi and nerdy things, video games and all that stuff. We're hitting it off and I'm nailing the interview. I'm like, this is amazing. I can't believe how far I'm getting. And then he asked me something that I'm, to this day, not one interviewer has ever asked me. And maybe it was because I was 16 at the time. He just needed to make sure if I needed like insulin or something, he would technically be like a guardian for me at work. So he goes, I just need to know if you're on any medications or anything like that. Except that's not the word he used. He just said, I just need to know if you're, on any drugs or anything like that. I'm like, well, I'm a very clean individual. I've never touched any substances in my life, but I'm also an idiot. So I was a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls, Morrowind, and Oblivion, which was still like newish at the time. There was a poster, big ol' Oblivion poster, in the Rogers Video, like right by the game section. So I go, yeah, I typically stay away from them. Really partial to skooma, though. Love me some skooma. And he gets really quiet. Like, the light goes out of his eyes. He sort of leans back in his chair and he goes, uh-huh. I go, yeah, it's not too big an issue. Get it imported from Cyrodiil all the time. No big deal. Helps me on the plains of Oblivion. And at that point, I'm like, how is he not getting this? How is he not understanding? We were just talking about games. Is this the one game that he's not played? This AAA huge hit? He starts getting really quiet about it. He's like, okay, then. We're just gonna... And I started interrupting him. I'm like, I've got to reconnect. I've got to save this interview. I see a little Yoda, like, not a PopCap figurine, because this was way before them, but it was, like, similar to that, just on his desk. And I go, hey, cool Yoda action figure. He's like, oh, yeah. You a big fan of Star Wars? I go, of course I am. I've got a huge Star Wars fetish. And at that point, he must have been, like, scratching my name off, being like, yeah, okay. We'll give you a call. We'll give you a call. I went from this is a sure deal to we'll give you a call, and you know what? Not once did I ever get a call back. So that was, those are two of my most embarrassing stories of all time. They sort of connect, as you guys can tell. But, that was why, from now on, no matter what, no matter how confident I am in the use of a word, I always check it out on either Google, Dictionary.com, something. And a lot of people are like, why did you use it so much? If you didn't know what it meant, why did you use it so much? Because I did know what it meant. In my head, I was sure. There was never a doubt. I wasn't like, I kind of know what this means, but I'm not entirely sure. It was like, no, I know what this means. This means hobby. I'm 100% sure of it. So, yeah, I screwed up. Lost the game in overtime, but it was a good game. Came back from 2-0. I bet on it. And I will never make that mistake again. So, kids out there, don't use words you don't... Look up every new word. That's all I'm going to say. Just look up every new word.